Bom dia na oitor. Amita Byron e bombili na Stima Autista. Programa de Fundación Autismo Aruba na Cool FM 98.9, cubriendo varios tópicos de espectro de autismo y también para fora de espectro. Con diferentes invitados y también noticias del Top 3 and more, creando más visibilidad, concientización e inclusión a nivel local e internacional. ¿Vos sonate claro? Láganos comenzar. And we are live. Time check is 17 minutes past 10 o'clock. We say good morning and welcome to a very unusual episode of Stima Autista because today we have an international guest in the studio. And since that we are doing this in English, we are going to tell our viewers what is Stima Autista in English. As always, I'm Byron. This is Stima Autista. Thank you so much for joining us. Stima Autista is a show by the Aruba Autism Foundation on Cool FM 98.9. Bringing in the various topics who are related to the spectrum or without the spectrum, or outside the spectrum, sorry, with different guests and news and talk and more, creating the goal for consciousness, awareness, acceptance for the communities inside Aruba and outside Aruba. That's the motto for Stima Autista. Now today we have a very special episode because this is an English episode. Well, I'm going to have to remind all our listeners and viewers that we are going to be in English, so for all the show going on right now. And also, I just wanted to remind all of you that we will be in Papiamento next time in the next episode of Stima Autista. So, para vocês não contaminarnos na escucharnos na idioma papiamento, nós vamos em inglês, nós vamos fazer para Bolsonaro tour por companheiros assim invitado internacional for de América. Dus atrove me quer informar Bolsonaro tour. Se você não quer escutar nós, está na inglês awe, também com invitado internacional awe. So today, as mentioned, it's outside. Outside is a bit hot right now, so make sure to drink up the water, hydrate yourself, electrolytes, you name it, because the outside temperatures are not favorable for those who are wanting to go out. So my recommendation is to limit the hours for your kids and your grown-ups to come outside and stay inside in the shade, so you can be aware on the effects of the heat outside of Aruba. We have 3 guests ready for you in the show, so I'm going to send it to you right now on our main wide-angle screen. We want to recommend our listeners and viewers to catch up on Cool FM social media, as well as Fundación Autismo YouTube to catch it live, or on our live stream at coolaruba.com. We have 3 guests, 2 not new, and we have a new because we have an international guest from the States, the United States, of course. Now we are going to talk about girls and autism. So let's introduce the guests right now. So first things first, I'm going to start with the new guest. She's coming from the United States of America, mainly in the state of California. She is Sara van Koningsveld, and she was one of the speakers from yesterday's workshop, which took place at the Marriott Resort. So Sara, good morning. Can you hear us better?
Yeah, good morning.
Hold on a moment. Hold on. Let me change mic.
All right.
Let's see here. Now, can you hear us?
Yeah, good morning.
All right, perfect. Sara, can you introduce to the people right now on the radio?
Sure. My name is Sara van Koningsveld. I am a 3rd generation Dutch. So I do not speak Dutch or Papiamento, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm a licensed clinical counselor, and I'm a board-certified dance movement therapist in the United States. I have been working in mental health for about 15 years now, working predominantly with children and families. Many of the children that I worked with were on the autism spectrum or had ADHD, behavioral issues. But actually, one of the reasons I'm here is because I'm adult diagnosed as autistic. I was diagnosed 2 years ago at the age of 38. I have been learning a lot about myself and how that plays into who I've been and who I want to be in the world. And so I'm just really excited to be here and talk a little bit about the female identity and those that were assigned female at birth and how it looks a little bit different in the autism community.
Like Sara said, she was diagnosed at age 38, which is, for me, I was diagnosed at 2.5 years old. So I was in the early intervention range. So we will talk about the main reason why girls are diagnosed later than the early intervention age in the show. Now, next to Sara, we have our ambassador, Kay Quandus, who's here with us in the show. Kay, would you like to reintroduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, Byron, and good morning, everybody listening. If you don't know me, my name is Kay. I'm a 23-year-old autistic young adult, and yes, I practice that 100 times in my head. Besides that, I'm a Fundación Autismo ambassador. And besides being autistic and doing volunteer for the foundation, I like art and poetry, everything art basically. And I don't know how to do everything art, but I do like to try everything when I want to. So yes.
Well, it comes to trying something new, something whether it's good or not good.
Yeah.
That is the main reason for everybody to be aware of, right, Kay?
Yes.
And now I have another guest also from Aruba, which is GZ psychologue Rochelin de Cuba. Rochelin, good morning.
Good morning, Byron, and good morning to everyone. I'm a mental health specialist at Respaldo Polyclinic Kinderjeugdpsychiatrie. I'm working there for 9 years, and I have specialized also in youth, but also young children, especially girls, are my main focus because we have to try to detect them on an early age. Because what we see where I work is the statistic says that the girls in the puberty, they get for the first time they're diagnosed. So I think still we have a lot to do on the island because we are still running late.
We did run late on the diagnosis for autism in girls. We will talk about the misconceptions of why autistic girls are being diagnosed later than usual in the show. Now, today we won't have a top 3 more news segment because I forgot again. But eventually you'll get the news here on Stima Autista on Cool FM as usual. Now we have time check, almost 25 minutes past 10 o'clock here in Aruba in the morning. I want to give a shout out to everyone who is listening in on Stima Autista, like my mom Raquel, who is on the field right now, my grandma Otilia. I want to give a special shout out to the one who promotes the show, and that's Xiomara Avron. Miss Xiomara Avron have promoted my show yesterday during a show called Nos Mainta on Tele Aruba. So I want to give her a very special shout out from me to Xiomara. Of course, she's a loyal fan of the show, Simon Autista. Thank you so much for being here. I also want to give a shout out to those who wanted to give a shout out to. You can, of course, WhatsApp us at 5946757 if you want to give a shout out on our Cool FM studio hotline at the WhatsApp. It is possible too. You can, of course, either in Aruba or in Bonaire or any part of the world. 5946757. Now there are main concerns for girls who want to be diagnosed with autism, but there have been misconceptions regarding this sacred topic. So that's why we are here at Stima Autista. We're going to talk about girls and autism, and we have 3 ladies here in the studio to talk about it here in the show. So let's begin right now with the icebreaker question, and we have to go to the workshop from yesterday And yesterday's workshop, it was amazing. But I want to tell on your perspectives, what is your experience from yesterday's workshop? And I don't know who's going to go first, or am I going to select? And I think we're going to start with my ambassador. Kay, would you like to tell your experience?
Sure. My experience of yesterday, I learned a lot. I went through a roller coaster of emotion, you could say, because there was a part where I was like, am I autistic? I can't relate to this part. But then other people spoke, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can relate to all these parts. So it was kind of like hard, but also I got a lot of information that I learned not only from myself but from my peers as well. I learned a little bit about autonomy, what Sara spoke about, the special interests and things that maybe I don't have, but still maybe some things that I don't recognize in myself, but other people recognize in me. So yes, but it was super nice. I really loved that there were a lot of people there, a lot of doctors, nurses, psychiatrists. So yeah, it was very nice.
Not only that there are professionals who are present at the event, there are also the Minister of Sport and Education present, and the Minister of Social Affairs as well, who gave their opening speeches before the start of the ceremony. I want to give a special shout out to Ministers Melvin Valletras and Helen Cruz, who were present at that workshop from yesterday. Rochelin.
I found it very interesting, especially the case of Maria that Carolina presented. I really recognize also we have a lot of Marias on the island, and especially how the reaction of the physician was. What I said yesterday, you don't have to, it's important as a physician to have the knowledge of autism, but even if you don't have that, you have to be open-minded and also interact with your patient and ask questions. And I think one of most of the important thing is listen to your patients and not always judging or having your opinion already. So for me, it was I recognize a lot of Marias. So I think don't want to become so negative, but we have a lot to do still on the island because imagine having a girl like yesterday a mother spoke to that it was a hassle for her to get the help and that the doctor really took her concern seriously. So I really like the way that Carolina presented also a new theory about intersectionality. And I really recognize that too also on the island. Maybe I'm too critical sometimes, but that's my job. And I really want that girls and boys who have autism on the island, that we detect them from an early age. And it starts always with the physician, the huisartsen, no? And I know the huisartsen have sometimes only 10 minutes to talk to the patient, but in the 10 minutes, if you have a listening ear, it can help this family a lot and also these children.
You did mention about intersectionality, and it's one of the questions that we're going to discuss later in the show. But of course, we did have a case study that Carolina mentioned that spoke about this at the start of the workshop. And I did mention, if you were watching the live yesterday in our live stream from the Autism social media, that the doctor in that case study did not know about autism in the first place. So needs to be educated more on the topic rather than disregarding the concern that Maria spoke about her diagnosis.
And also, I really like the part of Sara too, explaining about what was it again? when you get too overwhelmed that your body cannot move. And also, I really wanted to having more psychologists, but sometimes we don't understand. We know a lot about autism, maybe, but because we don't have the autism, we cannot imagine sometimes what people with the neurodivergent brain must go through. And sometimes we judge the symptoms like, oh, maybe she's theatral, but that's not true. It's more about this thing. So I really found it very helpful for other professional also your experience.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, would you like to chime in?
I would like that. Actually, I wanted to say that if some people will not know what we're talking about because they weren't there or they didn't see the live, so they can see it again on the Facebook and the YouTube of Fundação Autismo Aruba.
Good to know.
Yeah.
For those who missed the workshop from yesterday, you can catch it again on Fundação Autismo Aruba's Facebook page and also our YouTube page, which we are streaming live now for Stima Autista. So we will check on, because you can relive the past episodes of Stima Autista live on Cool FM social media, since that also on Fundação Autismo's YouTube page, which you can catch seasons 3, 4, and 5 right at this instance. Now, there's only one person who would want to share the experience, and that is Sara. Sara, would you like to share your experience about the workshop?
Yeah. First of all, I was just extremely honored to be invited to participate. I know many people heard yesterday. I met Carolina at the Global Autism Summit in South America in Lima, Peru last year, and so we stayed connected. And when I was coming to the island, she's like, "We should do something." So first of all, I just want to honor that connection was the reason I was able to be here and participate. But I think one through line that I recognized in all the speakers and message was just that, like, as providers, it doesn't matter if you're an educator, a psychologist, a doctor, a therapist, but as a provider in the community, that we all can recognize our bias at different times. And bias, it takes on various forms, whether that is, in the case of Maria, it was partially like her family and religion, or, we were talking also about the doctor, right? And a bias of like, maybe the doctor knows about autism, but just doesn't understand how it looks different for a girl or an adult woman, because Maria was 32 in the example, right? And so I think that through line is like to have the humility and the patience to really be patient-centered, to be client-centered, to hear the stories, regardless of our backgrounds, our identities, our knowledge, that we all can do better. Even it doesn't matter if you are an autistic provider, I can still do better and showing up for my clients by really hearing them. And so that was one through line that just felt like a standout message that everyone kind of touched on in a different way.
Those are the nice remarks that Sara gave to everyone here on the show.
She also explained it perfectly.
Yeah, she did. Now we can immediately go to the questions about yesterday's workshop here on today's episode of Stima Autista. Now, one of the guest speakers, Carolina, mentioned about intersectionality, which Rochelin mentioned in her remarks on yesterday's workshop experience. So, for viewers to know, what is intersectionality? And if we know knowledge about Carolina about intersectionality, but I don't know who's going to talk about this issue. Who's going to speak about intersectionality?
I don't mind talking a little bit about it. It's actually part of my work. I really value equity and justice in my work, and over the last 15 years have worked with many diverse populations. And so intersectionality is really about the different parts of our identity, right? So it could be gender, it can be sexuality and sexual preferences. It can be our religion, our socioeconomic class, our occupations. Intersectionality includes our cultures, let's see what else. I mean, it includes pretty much any part of your identity, right? It become, yeah, I know I'm missing so many. It also includes ability versus disability, right? And mental health and physical health. And really where intersectionality lies, I like to use the idea of a scale of like 1 to 10. 1 meaning you have a lot of privilege or a lot of ability because of your identity, and 10 meaning maybe there's more challenge and there's more difficult, and so more difficulty. So every person has these intersectionalities where maybe in one identity they have a lot of privilege, a lot of opportunity, a lot of access, and then in another identity they might have a limitation, they might have struggle, they might be disadvantaged in some way. And with intersectionality, it just really shows the complexity of all humans, that we're all complex, that nothing is really perfect in the world. So I hope I summarized that definition pretty well. I encourage listeners to look up an intersectionality. There's really great quizzes and like questionnaires where you can like self-reflect on this as well. And it's just a really, can provide a lot of insight, especially I would say to providers, to recognize where maybe their privileges as an educated, professional. They have privilege just being that professional in the room meeting with a client.
Now that Sara mentioned about intersectionality, and there are some key things that we forgot to discuss about it. So
no problem.
We understand that not every autistic people can know about this issue. Don't correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That let's just say, where can I say? Yes. The topic of intersectionality and every aspect, just like Carolina mentioned in the presentation about healthcare. But I don't know if Kay or Rochelin can chime in about this intersectionality topic.
If it's referred to the topic of autism, I see it sometimes, let me give an example. In the language that we already use about autism, we call it autism spectrum disorder. Instead, or calling that, we can say the person has a different neurodivergent brain. And the second thing I also encounter in my practice is schools expelling children because of having autism, of not accepting them at school. So for me, it's like the examples of how it's not, because of having autism, you get discriminating, and still, I don't want to anyone, but I think it's a matter that we have to address this theme.
You mentioned discrimination, and I have to go back to that famed quote that I made at the United Nations. Discrimination is not an option. That's why I said it in my speech last year at the UN. You can relive what I said on Fundación Autismo's Instagram or on the UN rebroadcast on UN Web TV about the forum. I don't know if Kay could chime in about what Sara and Rochelin said.
Well, for me, I actually heard this term intersectionality yesterday. So for me, it's still new, and I looked it up, and I'm still, to be honest with you, I'm still in the process of understanding it and processing everything that has been said to me yesterday. Also because we went home late and woke up super early today. So for me, it's okay, yeah, some people have privileges in some identities, and then some people have disadvantages. I'm kind of just puzzling them and putting them in pieces or in a whole, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm there. I can't really explain much.
Yeah.
I understand, Kay. It is a process to bring in all the information about intersectionality, but we will discuss it in the near future on Stima and Autista about the intersectionality and how it will affect autism in girls. But we understand the basics about intersectionality, but we'll go deep dive in the near future on our show. Now we have to talk about masking or camouflage, which is Kay's. Kay was masking camouflage when it comes to her diagnosis. We'll get to her experience later, but we have to talk about what is camouflage and or masking. So, I believe the professionals will have to discuss first about this topic of masking.
I think masking in girls, you see that a lot. Maybe the eye contact that they learn from an early age, how to do that, and also I think some stimming, they don't you don't recognize that, and I think Sara can elaborate more on that, but. I think we have now research going on in University of Leiden also, because I don't want to talk about my own experience, what I see in my job, but also I prefer to talk about the science part because that's my professional. But I think we don't know still 100% what is still camouflage or masking in girls. In Holland, for example, we are now they are doing research on this matter. Because of the camouflage or masking, that's why we overlook also the signs of the girls in early age. And I think one of the things that now we see is also one of the theory is saying that girls don't have to camouflage anymore because of camouflaging too much. That's why they get the anxiety and the depression. So that's the theory that I've learned, but I think we all not yet full clear what is it real.
It is a mystery about how we can decode about masking or camouflage. And it is a bit tough to crack the code, but it takes a process. And now that you mentioned, Rochelin, about the investigation from the Leiden University, it will bring more clarity about this importance of masking or camouflage. We'll let Kay talk about her experience, but first we have to talk about what's the phone. I forgot to mention we have to inform all of our listeners and viewers that we have to be mere quiet. The studio needs to be silent, so
Yeah.
sorry, Rochelin.
So during my workshop, I talked a little bit about the camouflaging autistic traits questionnaire, which is a questionnaire often used in the United States, particularly to diagnose adults on the autism spectrum. So it's, in short, it's called the CAT-Q. So camouflaging autistic traits questionnaire. And this questionnaire really was developed to assess where camouflaging occurs and how it might be showing up for an individual, whether or not they're on the autism spectrum. So camouflaging is like the bigger, broader term, right? It's kind of, we think of, I don't know, someone in the military or hiding out in the jungle, camouflage, right? Or, lizards change colors as part of their camouflage, right? It's how they blend in. Camouflaging is to blend in. But the three main categories and that the CAT-Q includes is specifically compensation, masking, and assimilation. And so Rochelin was talking about those elements, and I just wanted to kind of break them into the different categories. So when we're seeing compensation, we're seeing like the overacting, right? The really making the attempt to make the eye contact, the really making those attempts to have social skills and to behave appropriately, whatever our social or cultural learning is, right? Maybe and we can just speak in like a general sense, like many cultures are more patriarchal, where girls are taught to be more quiet. They're taught to be more, smile, be nice, don't talk too much, right? And so some of that compensation can come in where they're like controlling their stimming, and they're finding other ways to stim. So for example, this is where girls may use nail biting or hair twirling, which doesn't really look like a stim, right? It's, oh, that's so cute, or stop biting your nails. But like it's not as big of a stim as we might see in certain individuals. And then the masking piece, right, is the putting on masks. We all do it when we go to our job, when we hang out with our friends. We have different versions of ourselves, but an autistic person who masks is constantly wearing a mask that is not their own. They're constantly trying to look like everyone else, whether that's their clothes, their facial expressions, their body language. And so it becomes a behavioral thing. And then that assimilation piece is like to it almost becomes a part of their identity. It becomes a part of how they fit in, how they choose their friends, what they do with their life. And so we can often also see this in how special interests might show up for autistic girls. We have these assumptions that autistic, and generalizations here, folks, that autistic boys are really into like rockets and dinosaurs and trains, and it just looks kind of odd, how that presents in boys, but we don't think about how potentially in autistic girls it might be reading books or playing with dolls. It's like those are normal things, but it's when it goes to that extreme of a behavior that that there's a lack of flexibility, right? And I know we'll talk more about autistic girls, but just wanted to speak on that masking and camouflaging and how it looks different.
All right. Now, I'm pretty curious about the CAT-Q questionnaire.
Yeah.
Where can we find the CAT-Q questionnaire?
You can, it is a psychological tool, so it would be available to like psychologists, doctors, psychiatric nurses, those types of things, which I know do a lot of the assessing here on the island. So the official version, might have like a paid assessment, protocol. But there are, on the internet, you can find the general information. There are kind of the free examples where you can get a rough score. It's not official. I will say that even in the States, women will use these online free tools to bring to their providers to say, like, look, I actually am having a problem with this thing, and I did a free version, but it shows that I am doing this. This is happening. And so, yeah, I don't have an exact website, but definitely you could look it up on the internet, and there are free.
Very helpful for
Yes.
us.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it from Sara. Of course, you can find on the internet about the CAT-Q questionnaire and how you can prepare your autistic daughter for the CAT-Q questionnaire.
And it's specifically, I just want to say again, for adults. So we're looking at like post-puberty, so teenagers into adulthood, because it's learned behavior, right? And as a child, there's less of that conditioning, and when you get older, it's really a part of it becomes a part of who you are and how you show up.
Yes.
Glad
In
that
Holland, we are doing now, not me, the university are doing research on girls between 4 and 5 years. So that's also, I think, we have to follow that too.
Yeah.
Of course. Glad that you mentioned the specifics about the CAT-Q questionnaire.
Yeah.
Now we have to tell about Kay's story about camouflaging or masking. So Kay, go ahead.
Okay, well, I was late diagnosed. For the ones who didn't know, I was diagnosed at 15. I did show signs when I was younger, but it was recognized when I was 15. I think it's also because I went into a crisis, so it was like a thing that they went looking for what is wrong. And as Sara said, I didn't mask a lot or I didn't think I masked a lot when I was little, but it really started when I was in my teens and getting older. And honestly, to tell you, I'm not like super self-aware, so I didn't know that I was masking until I was told like this is why are you doing this, or like it was hard for me to recognize in myself. And as I'm talking right now, I have like a voice in my head that's telling me like, if only I had like, or still have the help for somebody else to tell me like, you're doing this behavior for this and that. Like, I wish somebody would just tell me, so I'm aware of it. But I can tell you my experience. Like, I would I don't know, I think the eye contact thing, also I didn't used to fidget. Now I'm more open to it. I do rock back and forth a lot, but all these things I thought it was just me, I didn't think it was something like odd. So yeah, I think that's a little bit about my experience with masking that I know of.
Of course. Thank you for sharing your experience about masking and camouflage. And I saw you rocking when we were at the workshop yesterday. So it's one of the key causes, of course, about masking camouflage.
I think that's more stimming, but
Yep.
yeah.
My question would be, is there ever times that you don't allow yourself to rock when you really
Yes.
want to? And
Yes.
that is your masking.
Okay, yeah.
Your masking is when you're like, I really want to do this, but I don't.
I can't right now because the people would judge me or
Yeah.
just I'm stopping myself. I don't even know. Sometimes I don't even know why, but I stop myself from doing things that.
And
Yep.
one of the
It
things I
feels like
saw
I
also
want-
you playing with the doll and asking me, is it allowed to play with the doll? I say, play with the doll. It's not an issue.
I ask a lot of questions always.
Yeah.
And Kay, is currently using a fidget toy right now.
Yeah.
So I want to inform all of you that if you hear the Kay is playing
I'm sorry, I didn't know it made a sound.
a sound of her fidget toy, I want to apologize in advance. Now, we don't know about the difference between boys and girls when it comes to autism. Rochelin can tell us about the differences?
I think the way that girls show their autism signs are different than boys. Sometimes they have similarities, like they like gaming, they like the science, in their repetition that they like. But I think because of girls are in the upbringing, they are to be more social. And their communicative and social communication is better than boys, and they can also adapt very easy. That make it difficult to address early stage of the diagnosis of the girls. But I think boys also have different stereotypes, repetitive things that they like. For example, boys are like more cars, a jet plane, and girls are more into series or into reading or in obsessive with animals. We find every girl very cute because they like dogs. But sometimes they are too much in the dogs, sleeping with the dogs outside, and doesn't want to go to school. So that's the intensity that we see also in girls with autism. So and I think boys are more in the repetitive things, but also in the eye contact. You see it more quick, I think, than girls.
Can I chime in?
Yes,
Sure.
When I chime in, like, it goes away from my brain. But I wanted to say, basically, also girls have a lot of like internal. The disability doesn't show much on the outside. That's
Yeah.
I don't know if somebody can elaborate on that, but that's what I feel.
Yes,
Yeah.
more in this anxiety, and boys are more externaliserend.
Also,
no?
because when you're masking, it's like, even if you don't know you're doing it, it's tiring. So when you go home, you're tired and you want to sleep, and you don't know why all of this, but it's like because the whole day was like extra work for you. So yeah.
And I think also the boys are more, the teacher sees more quick than girls, because you have the external, no, the gedragsproblemen, and that's in girls. It's internalizing and no one notices it. And the girls are very good in grades, and at school here on the island we especially pone mucho atención on the grades instead of seeing the social emotional part of the children.
Yeah.
Of course, it is good to know that if you want to catch Rochelin's presentation, it is on Autism social media, so you can rewatch the differences between the boys and the girls regarding autism. Now, I better check the clock. It's 10:57. It's almost at the top of the hour, and we still got a lot of the things to do here on Stima Autista. So thank you so much for tuning in, either on Cuba FM 98.9 on the dial, or in Aruba and Bonaire. Also on coolaruba.com live stream, audiovisual live stream. On social media, Autism Aruba on YouTube and Facebook by Cool FM, and Cool FM Facebook and YouTube. And if you want to give a shout out, you can do so by WhatsApping the studio hotline at 594-6757. If you're living outside of Aruba, you can add the +27 before the 594-6757. That's a tip for you if you are listening outside of Aruba. There are two more questions left and then the closing statements here on Stima Autista, so we can wrap it up. But before we can do so, we want to inform all of our listeners that the parent support session is coming back officially, and it's on Monday at One Healthy You Cafe and Wellness Experience at Palm Beach. Now, and we made a change in venue for the forthcoming parent support session, so we will have Sara with us as our first guest of this year's parent support session. You can still register or walk in. We're going to be starting at 6:30, and of course, to find the location of One Healthy is located at Palm Beach at X Island Yoga, where you can find the place in Palm Beach. We'll show you the directions, of course, how you can get to One Healthy You Cafe and Wellness Experience at Palm Beach on our socials soon. Now, we're about to reach the top of the hour, so we talked about intersectionality earlier, but there are different autism identities that you mentioned in the presentation. So, Sara, can you mention one of the autism identities, and what is it, of course, about the issue on autism identities?
Sure. So one of the emphasis that I made around autism identities in girls was the idea of twice exceptionality, or what's called 2E. And so an individual who's twice exceptional not only experiences the disability of a neurodivergent identity, and just as a summary, neurodivergent identities are a difference in brain functioning outside of the normal kind of bell curve of the population. So the majority of the population would be considered neurotypical. Their brain functions within a normal range and has normal needs. But a neurodivergent person, such as an autistic person, is outside that normal range. So circling back, twice exceptional person would be neurodivergent in some capacity. And so here, for this purpose, a neurodivergent girl dealing with autism and or ADHD. And then the exception is that they're also talented, gifted, educated, intellectual, communicative. They, for all intensive purposes, and like Kay was talking about, look like a normal girl. Like, they do well in school. You know, Rochelin was talking about like their politeness and their, like the teacher doesn't suspect anything because it's internalized. The disability is internalized. And so I just want to also say that giftedness is not just intellect. Gifted is about talent. It's about expressivity. So that could be art, it could be music, it could be a sport. We see really elite athletes that have come and become open about their ADHD or their autism. You know, one example is Simone Biles. You know, her ADHD and mental health became an issue in the Tokyo Olympics, and she needed a break. She was probably experiencing some of that burnout, like just too much. And so, like, but she's also a twice exceptional. She's an elite athlete with an exceptional talent in her sport. And so, I just want to say that identity of an autistic girl isn't necessarily about intelligence. It is about being exceptional in some area of their life, having a gift or a talent in some area of their life, as well as the disability. And so, with both of those things existing, there can be an external, a communal misunderstanding of the need of the autistic person. And then there can also be a lot of internalized, like, emotion, pain, trauma. And so this is where mental health can really become a factor, is because that exceptionality hides the disability so well. We'll more often see depression, anxiety, and PTSD type symptoms. That's what the psychologist will catch. They won't catch the autism because it's so well hidden in their giftedness.
2E, that is something new that we learned about autistic identities. And I think Rochelin nodded about the 2E. So, Rochelin, can you chime in?
I think what Sara was saying, it's not about the high intelligence, the giftedness. Most of the girls sometimes can be gifted too. And I think, yes, what we find it very difficult is because these girls are talented, and because of their anxiety, they cannot come out. So we have to believe, I think, also in these girls and try to help them, especially on the island, instead of judging them. So I think that's my part, or that's my way, because that's why I go a lot of times to school to explain that also. I became an advocacy for children with autism, and especially in girls. But still, I think we have a lot of job to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Kay, do you agree?
I agree, and I think that for me personally, I want to just learn more so I can be better at, like, explaining these things, because I feel like I can understand everything that you guys are saying, but at the same time I cannot explain it even if I tried. So if I write it down and read it, maybe I'll be better at this. But I want to learn more about all that we talked in or heard yesterday in the workshop.
It is about the train of thought, right, Kay?
Yes, it just goes my train.
No, because I know girls with autism, they are sometimes, when they get too stressed or too anxious, they can write better. And why it's not always talking, sometimes I work with other psychologists, sometimes they get not patience because they want the girl to talk immediately. But no, just have patience. And no, you're dealing with a girl. Maybe you don't know that she's already autistic, but just let her express in her way. Expressing is not always language, but we can write, we can do art, and in art therapy, that's why I think art therapy is very good for also autistic girls and boys, no? And I think just step away from your own kader, I said, and you have patience sometimes, and I think that's make a whole difference in a girl's life.
Yeah, it's not only talking. I feel like I can't talk. I have talked, but like I need to process what you just said.
Yeah.
So I need time to I need like time to think about it, but also you need patience to let me think and then allow me to respond. So like a podcast, it would be fast, right? You have to go because of time, and I feel like even though it's hard, I'm trying it and I'm doing it, but I just need the time to like
Yeah.
think about it and let it out.
I also want to just say, like, psychology is my special interest. Like, I read about it all the time. So the words come because it's what I read about. It's what I study, and especially learning about my own autism, it made me really want to find the words to say what I was
You're
experiencing.
in your zone right now, Sarah.
Like, my train is on track.
Yes.
It's going to be on time to the station today. But yeah, what you were also saying, Rochelin, and now it left. But just that patience and understanding is it. As a dance movement therapist, and this is where kind of in hindsight, I recognize why I connected to some of the kids that I worked with is because I was moving with them. I wasn't expecting them to use words. They didn't have words, so I gave them an option. You know, and so I get to share at the parents' meeting. We're going to do some movement on Monday, so I'm excited.
Well, Kay, it will be a possibility for you to come and to learn about the dances that Sara will share to us at the parent meeting on Monday.
Yes, Raquel, if you're listening, if you can chime, like, give me a ride, be nice.
No, but I think it's a nice theme to talk about the language. No, the language, we put so much emphasis on it, and we can communicate in other different ways. And it's always not always language. It's movement and
Art,
yes,
writing.
You did mention art, Rochelin, because Kay
yeah,
went to art mode all the time, right?
yeah.
I am always in art mode, actually.
All right, we're about to reach 10 past 11. We're at 8 past 11 right now here in our studio. So we're coming to the final question before we can get to the closing statements. The final question is for all of you. Can you guys bring some advice or tips for those who are tuning in live, especially for parents with autism, on the situation with autism and girls or women? Who is going to begin first? Let us know.
I think we have the parents. We have to, understand them better, I think, and also have patience with your child and keep fighting. If they don't listen to you, someone eventually will listen. And also, I think the schools need more understanding, I think. And especially, I want the island one in the upcoming years to become an Autista-proof Aruba island. That will be very nice. And I know we have 1-2 schools on the island who are becoming already Autista-proof. Kay knows which school I refer. And thanks to that school, Kay and other children could graduate. So we have to not only focus on the things that we have to learn or to expect, but we can also see what are they doing and learn from them. Not become jealous of them, but we can help each other. For example, yesterday I really liked how Kay explained us not clapping hard, but clapping like this. So that's a way to be learning on the island, to be conscious about being Autista-proof. That's my dream and my passion to work on it.
The dream of Autista-proofing our island is possible. We just need to work hard in collaboration with major instances, even authorities like the government of Aruba, like they're doing right now, to help achieve that goal of Autista-proof or certified autism for everyone.
And also the talent, the talents that neurodivergent brains have, also put it in the workplace. In Holland, I see, for example, in the police officer, they have a department because of autism can focus very good on details. They use these forces in order to solve certain crimes. So, put it in a positive way instead, or because they don't make eye contact. No, I want that we can especially just focus on the talent that these girls also have.
Yeah.
Indeed. Kay,
Yes.
would you like to bring tips and advice for everyone who's tuning in?
An advice. Let me see. I think, I'm an adult, so I don't know what to say to children or parents. But I think if you're autistic, diagnosed, or if you think you're autistic and you're going through the process, or to just, for me, learn to unmask.
Learning to unmask.
Because and also just be yourself, just allow yourself to be, and be kind to yourself when you are in a situation like yesterday was very very busy, like mentally busy, to like go home and rest and not go on TikTok and sleep. So yes, that would be my advice, just to be yourself and be kind to yourself.
Side note, we were all tired after the workshop.
Yes.
So we have to rest ourselves so we can prepare for today's episode of the show. And I think my advice I would share to you, Kay, limit usage of social media.
My phone in general.
Of
Yeah.
course, the phone or tablet, screen time.
Yeah.
Sara.
My advice is for the providers, again, to whether you're an educator or a doctor, a government official, a parent. A parent is a provider, right? To listen, to hear, right? To be curious. I think sometimes we lose our curiosity when we have our knowledge. I'll just use the word, it's like egoism, right? Like our ego gets in the way. Like, I'm educated, I understand this, or I'm the parent, so I know what's best. But if you're hearing, particularly a girl that's saying, this is hard, or I don't understand, or I need a break, really taking the time to be curious, to ask questions, to instill that self-compassion and that kindness in the girl or the woman, so that she knows that people care and that it's a safe place, right? Where you're talking about creating these autism inclusive spaces, and an autism inclusive space does not limit the rest of everybody else. It actually can offer more to the whole community, right? That by having a sign or having certain structures, like, everyone can benefit from it. And so, but we have to be curious, because I know I said it yesterday, and I would say that Byron and Kay both would probably agree, like, you don't know what it's like to have autism until you talk to a person with autism.
Yes.
And each one of us is very different.
Yes.
There are similarities, and this is what makes it in the medical model of pathology, but each of us are different, and so each of our stories are different, our experiences are different, our needs are different, but that's the same in the general population. It's just, being othered, right? And so how about, we have that compassion, that patience, that curiosity to be inclusive.
Nice. That's a very nice advice to everyone who is listening in right now on the show. And I forgot to mention about the season 4 episode about hidden disabilities. And Yesterday, I think I saw you with the sunflower lanyard.
I do have a sunflower lanyard.
Luckily, the airport has the capabilities for everyone who has a hit in his sunflower lanyard to fast track their process from check-in to gate and destination.
Yes, it's been super helpful to relieve some of the anxiety I get from masking, to know that I can travel with ease and be supported in that environment.
Maybe I can use it for future travel.
Absolutely. Get your sunflower lanyard, Byron.
I will find a way to get the lanyard. Okay? Well, we're at 16 minutes past 11. We've passed the hour, but we will be finishing off with the closing statements. But first, we want to wish everyone who is going to participate in the 5K today, in the Kailan Aruba Marathon 5K, the best of luck at their training preparing for the 5K today. It'll start at 5:30-ish at the hotel, Hilton Hotel. And I'm going to be participating tomorrow in the 10K, which starts at 6:15. The full marathon will be at least at about 3 a.m., 3 or 4-ish, and then half marathon will follow later. So I want to wish everybody, the team back at the Kailan Aruba Marathon organization, the best of luck for the organization, for the teams, for those who are running and walking for today's event at 5K, and tomorrow the full marathon, half marathon, and the 10K, which I'm going to be in. So if you see me on the route to 10K, give me a shout out and give me a support so I can prepare for the 10K tomorrow. Now we are about to end the show with the closing statements right now. So I'm going to start counterclockwise to Rochelin with the closing statements. Rochelin.
Thank you for your invitation, Byron. I really enjoyed this episode. I will be short on that. Don't judge, just be, I want an Auti-proof Aruba. That's it.
Good wish, of course. And that is, we are the Gomingo, the judgment-free zone here on Stima Autista. And for everybody who wants to judge, don't judge. Please don't judge on anybody.
Okay.
Sara.
My closing statement. Every human is a bit different. If we were to look at our intersectionality, each one of us in this room is different. Each person on this island is different. Each person in the world is different. Their intersectionality is different. And so when we consider that autistic individuals are only about 1% to 2% of the population, how do we create spaces that recognize that truly it's just another variation of the human experience, and that humanity, to the point of non-judgment, right? That humanity deserves compassion. That part of the autistic community deserves patience. The autistic community deserves to feel a part of community. And so, creating Audi-proof spaces, creating meaningful conversations like this, I hope it brings that opportunity to Aruba to have just that recognition of the diversity and the beauty of that diversity on Aruba. So I am super appreciative to be invited here and to be able to share some of my experience and perspective as well. Thank you so much, Byron.
Well, that's a very nice advice, and thank you so much, Sara, to be here in the show. And last but not least, Kay.
I didn't think about this. My closing statement would be... Byron, I don't know. Thank you for inviting me. That would be my closing statement.
That's okay, Kay. We'll get to the train of thought of yours once it comes back in future endeavors. Now, everyone, just like I mentioned, it is hot outside, so make sure to hydrate yourself with electrolytes so you can be sure that you're going to be hydrated even when you're not thirsty. Also, to limit yourself from the sun. It will cause harmful cancerous cells, of course, if you are out and about. And please make sure to prepare your sunblock sunscreen, the 2-finger rule, so you can be sure that you apply on your face and body and reapply once it evaporates, so we can prepare to reapply sunscreen when possible. All right, guys. One again, I mentioned on Monday, we will have the parent support session. That'll be at 6:30 p.m. at One Healthy You Cafe and Wellness Experience at Palm Beach. It's located at what formerly was at Island Yoga, so you guys can stop by. Of course, you can register on the link on Facebook for the Autism Aruba, or you can also walk in if you want to. Of course, you come to the event with Sara on Monday, so you guys can register, walk in if you want to for this Monday's parent support session. And if you missed it, don't worry, there are more parent support sessions to come in the mere months. We did mention one that is in the pipeline for next month, and we will have more information about the next parent support session soon on the Fundación Autismo Aruba's Facebook and Instagram pages. So once again, be pending on Fundación Autismo Aruba's social media pages when it comes out, so everybody can feel the need to be invited to come to the parent support sessions. And also, before we go, I mentioned yesterday about the runway run. It was a successful runway run from last month, and we received a generous donation from Aruba Airport and their Wings of Hope. We of course, we received 10,000 florin donation from Wings of Hope and AAA. So on our behalf of Fundación Autismo Aruba, we would like to thank AAA for the generous donation that we have received from AAA, and we'll hope that we'll have even more future endeavors with the airport and the collaborations to come. So I would like to thank everybody who tuned in to Stima Autista here on Cool FM 98.9. We're at 11:23, and hopefully we'll come back soon next month, or maybe not, because we could be in a summer break. We'll keep you guys pending for the next episode of Stima Autista when it comes back here on Cool FM 98.9. But for now, it is goodbye from all of us at Stima Autista. For now, we will come back as usual, I think, in the mere months in the summer vacation. So enjoy your summer vacation here. I want to wish everybody who are about to graduate, congratulations. If you did not pass the test, don't worry, you will be passing the test next time. So then, thank you for tuning in. Peace. Bye-bye.
Wow, essa aqui tá para hobby interessante. Mita espera que possa a disfrutar de Stima Autista de Fundação Autismo Aruba, aqui na Cool FM 98.9. Se você não perde o capítulo aqui, por mire a trove na Facebook e YouTube de Cool FM 98.9 e também via Fundação Autismo Aruba sus socials. Nos espera você na back outro viaje de outro capítulo de Stima Autista. Até depois!
Music